low-level programming languages. As you know, computer science is about the study of programming languages. I mean, you study about a variety of programming languages that exist. Now, these programming languages can be categorized into two categories known as high and low-level languages. So today we're going to study about the differences between these two categories of languages, how they're different. So here's the learning outcome. In this first part, we're going to study the differences between high and low-level languages, and then we're going to take a look at translators in the second part of the lesson, that is tomorrow. Alright, as you know, when we speak of computers and machine code, here I'm speaking about computers understanding binary numbers or hexadecimal numbers. So it's obvious, computers are made up of electronic devices, and these electronic devices, in turn, they make use of binary numbers. So only data format that computers understand is binary numbers in the form of zeros and ones. Now, you know what is a program. A program is actually a way of telling a computer what to do and how to do it and when to do it. A list of instructions illustrated in the form of algorithm. So here I've written a small program in Visual Basic. So as you can see, we have the console.writeLine keywords here in Visual Basics with a message that is being outputted: school in August, enjoy and let enjoy. So the program here, the line that you write using your ideally integrated development learning environment, the computer will not understand it unless it is translated to binary. Means you may use simple English keywords from a programming language, but the computers will not understand that unless it is translated in a given language. In real life, similarly, people use many different languages to communicate with each other. And in order for two people to understand each other, they need to speak the same language, or another person, an interpreter is needed to translate from one language to the other. Okay? In the same way, if you speak English or your friends speak Creole, these are our common languages, so you will be able to understand. Now, if we take other languages like Chinese or Italian, it will become a difficulty for someone that don't understand. Therefore, we'll need what is known as a translator or an interpreter to translate from one language to another. So in the similar way, when you write codes in programs, they must be translated to what is known as machine code. So when I speak of machine code, obviously programmers do not usually write in machine code, as it is difficult to understand and it can be complicated to manage data manipulation and storage. So what are machine code? Machine code are actually binary numbers, okay, such as 0, 0, 1 or hexadecimal numbers, and computers understand machine code only. But it will be approximately impossible for us to write instruction like you do input A in binary format. Imagine you had to type zeros instead of writing English keyword like input and output. So obviously machine code is understood by the machine only. Now when we write our code in whether a high-level programming language or a low-level programming language, this should be normally translated. Okay, so as you can see, the following two snippets or programs actually that is written in a typical machine code, shown in both hexadecimal and binary, and consists of 3 statements. So the equivalent of each of these lines, this is my first line, the equivalent of it is in hexadecimal. Okay, so all to note up to now is machine, they understand what is known as machine code, 00100, and we programmers or human beings, we are at the level of high-level languages or low-level languages. Let me give you a quick exercise on machine code. So you have to state whether true or false for the following. Computers understand all types of programming languages. Computers understand only machine code. Machine code is made up of binary and hexadecimal numbers. So 1 minute for you. Okay, so programming languages, there are a large number of programming languages. They form part of two categories, high-level languages and low-level languages. Now, what are the differences between these programming languages? We're going to see next. If you see here at the lowest level here, we have what is known as electronic devices. All electronic devices understand what is known as machine code. But at the highest level, we have human beings. Okay, most of you are very lazy, in the sense that we tend to find things that are easier for us, in the sense that we're going to write languages or programs which is closer to human languages. So at the bottom level, you have machine code. At the highest level, you have high-level languages. These are programming languages that are closer to human languages. In what ways? These programming languages, they contain keywords, English keywords, wordings. Whereas at the lowest level, at the machine code level, here we are talking about binaries. Now, in the middle of it, we have what is known as the low-level language. The low-level language here, they understand, they contain a certain English keywords, but they also contain some pieces of machine code, maybe 010 or hexadecimal also at the same time. Okay, so at the top level, we have high-level language, which is closer to human beings' languages, and at the bottom level we have machine code, which is closer to binary because they are mostly related to hardware. And in between it, we have the low-level languages. These languages, they are found in the middle because here they're going to contain very little English keyword, but most probably a little hexadecimal. Now, programming languages can be written in high-level language or low-level language, depending on the task to be performed and the computer to be used. Most programmers write programs in high-level languages because while we use high-level languages, it will contain English-like keywords, and you can understand your other programming friends, other programmers can understand too at the same time. Now, high-level languages, if you have to do a comparison between the two, high-level languages enable a programmer to focus on the problem to be solved and require no knowledge of the hardware and instruction set of the computer that will use a program. Maybe you have come across 32-bit processor, 64-bit processor. So when you're writing a high-level programming language, you don't worry what kind of hardware you have. You just focus on the problem. Maybe the problem is adding two numbers. You're going to focus on that problem of adding two numbers and choose a language such as VB, Python, or Pascal and just solve your problem. And at the same time, high-level programming languages, they are portable and can be used on different types of computers. Okay, this is a very important point. If I write a program on my machine here, which is a Windows machine, Windows-based operating system, it's portable. I can run it in other machines too. In the same way, you have applications or apps from Google Play Store that are written in high-level languages, and they are portable across different mobile devices. For example, PUBG games. Obviously, memory requirement is one, but when we are writing in high-level languages, we assume that these languages are portable and they can be used on different machines. So just to recap a little here, is that high-level languages or languages or programming languages that contain English keywords, and they don't worry about the knowledge of the hardware, what kind of hardware I have, what kind of processor I have, but it's most probably problem solving using English-like keywords by writing programs. And they are portable. Now, there are several benefits of writing a program or a software using a high-level language. Anyone can read and understand the language as it is closer to human language. You can write it in a shorter time, you can easily debug it, and you can maintain once in use. Okay? Means, what is the meaning of maintenance? You may have already created an app, and it is available on Play Store now, and you're making changes from behind. This is why we have update on a certain app or update on a certain application, because we are maintaining it, maybe by adding new features to that programming language or resolving some bugs. Okay, so obviously read and understand is one of the most important benefits of that language, okay, a high-level language. Now, let's look at a quick evaluation on high-level languages. Let me tell you, instead of writing high-level language, we can use the keyword HLL, which is high-level languages. Okay, take a look to those three statements that will help you to understand what are high-level languages. In 1 minute, we're going to continue with the correction. Like keywords. Okay, so HLL or closer to human language. Here, it's going to be true. Visual Basic is an example of high-level language, obviously true. HLL are easier to understand and debug than low-level language. This is going to be true. Easier to understand and easier to debug. But next it tells us that HLL are made up of binary numbers. That is going to be false. Okay, HLL are closer to human language. True. Visual Basic is an example of high-level language. True. HLL are easier to understand and debug than low-level language. Okay, so these are the answers: true, 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 and then false. Okay, let's continue now. Low-level language. Low-level languages can refer to machine code. Okay, not really machine code exactly, but they are close to machine code. The binary instruction that a computer understands, or an assembly language that needs to be translated into machine code. So machine code is found at the bottom. Low-level languages are closer to the machine code because we use a little of hexadecimal here. One example of a low-level language is an assembly language. Okay, so few programmers write programs in assembly language. Those programmers who do so for the following reason. We want to get direct access to hardware. For example, to make use of a special machine-dependent instruction, write code that doesn't take up space in primary memory, write code that performs a task very quickly. When you execute a program in a high-level language, it makes use of primary memory. If you have studied fetch and decode execute cycle, programs are brought into memory one by one and then decoded and executed. But here, when you write a program in assembly language, it doesn't make use of primary memory as such. Okay, and assembly language is one kind of low-level language that will contain what is known as mnemonics. Mnemonics are shorthand keywords that are available in the code. For example, LDA is one type of mnemonics. Add and STU is another type of memory language that you have. Okay, assembly language that you have. So assembly language, yes, is a low-level language in the sense that when you're writing programs in assembly language, we're going to have direct access to the hardware. And programs that are written in assembly language or low-level language, they are not going to be so close to to human language or English keywords. For example, LDA is not an English word. Add is a little closer to English language. STO is a shorthand form for store. So it's not so close to human language, but closer to machine language. For example, LDA can follow by an address. For example, hash, which is an address, 323. Here, or 328. Here we are accessing the memory address. A is a hexadecimal digit. LDA hash 328. In this case, here we're speaking about hexadecimal numbers. So you will see that assembly language is much closer to machine language. Now, what kind of questions you may have when it comes to assembly language, high-level language, and low-level language? Let me give you a third exercise. There are three pieces of code here. The first piece of code, A, is 01000101. Add X, LDA 203 is another piece of code B. And C is another code snippet which has console.writeLine, hello world. Which one is high level, low level, and machine code? Okay. I'll wait for at least 1 minute for you to reflect. Okay, let's move on now. So, if you take a look to A, what kind of language? Is it an HLL, low-level language, or a machine code? Now, as you can see, it contains binary numbers. Since it contains binary numbers, in this case, it is a machine code. Okay. I put an MC for machine code here. Now add X, LDA, and then maybe X is an address here. Therefore, here we are speaking about assembly language, but assembly language is what? A low-level language, so LLL. The third one, console.writeLine, hello world. As you can see, it contains English-like keywords. Okay, therefore C is a high-level language. Now, you may be asked for a reason why C is HLL, then you'll have to say it is closer to human language, it contains English-like keywords, it is easier to write and understand. The low-level language, it contains mnemonics like LDA and add, and also maybe hexadecimal numbers, and it is a low-level language. Now, machine code, it must contain either binary or hexadecimal. So if you see a code that contains only binary or hexadecimal, it is a machine code. If it contains mnemonics and a mixture of English and binary or hexadecimal, then it's a low-level language. If it contains completely high level of English keywords, in that case it is a high-level language. That's it for today. Tomorrow we're going to continue with translators, which is on compilers and interpreters. We'll discuss about the time, but most probably it will be at 11 itself. Okay.